Hello, gorgeous. Okay, let's be honest. Really? You were like, I don't really, I don't really want to listen to a blog video, but Angie's talking about bankrupt to 100K in 6 hours. And I got to know, is she talking about her? So yes, number one, yes, I'm talking about me. And I'm not talking about years ago. I'm talking about a week ago. Okay. So yeah, I don't necessarily have all my stuff together as society would like to think it. And yes, it's a very specific scenario that I'm going to share with you, but I think it drives home a beautiful point. And this is coming up a lot in themes, and that's what I'm going to do all of my blogs about. And in fact, I'm going to be doing some mini courses. I've said that on some of my other blogs and have people reach out to me going, when are you going to do that? It's going to be very soon, I promise. But this one's a big one because it recently happened and it's still kind of in my frequency. And the theme is popping up a lot in terms of wanting to attract beautiful things in your life and being concerned about having negative thoughts. So I'm going to use myself as an example, which kind of feels vulnerable, but it's okay. We'll roll with it. So first of all, if you don't know me, you should by now because you're listening to my blog, right? You found me on YouTube, go over to angieprince.com, check out my other blogs. If you found me on my blog, then you do know me. I am an intuitive coach. I use divination tools. And yes, I have a coach and mentor because we're all human. So I get that question a lot. Like, you got it all together. No, I don't. No, but I do work with someone and which really does support me greatly because I do get in my own way. But this particular circumstance, I don't think I was getting in my way. I think it actually worked out beautifully, and it drives home the point that if you are not familiar with the law of attraction, we are all energetic beings, and therefore we vibrate at a certain frequency, or we have a vibration. You might have heard it in different ways. And there is a thought that is circulating, or a concept, philosophy, whatever you want to call it, out there circulating around that if I think a negative thought, I got to get it back in because I'm going to attract negative things to me. But I had a conversation the other day with a couple of different people actually, and this seemed to resonate. So I'm sharing it with you, is that your thoughts and your emotions, or what we label frequency, we have this a label around it so that we can call it something, right? And they're different frequencies. These are two separate entities. They're not the same thing. Now, a thought can evoke an emotion. So you've thought things and it makes you feel a certain way. That seems pretty rational. And even an emotion in your body, like maybe you observe something and it triggers an emotion, and you can evoke a thought. And this, we think of that in terms of usually in traumatic situations with PTSD, right? People who've been through trauma and then see something that is totally not relevant in our mind, will evoke an emotion in their body and it will trigger a thought. So these two things are separate entities, but they can evoke one another, and sometimes they are very related and sometimes they are not as related as we think that they are. So getting very aware of what's happening in your body and the emotions that you're feeling is super important to deliberate use or deliberate practice of the law of attraction so that you can manifest and attract things that you love. So when I'm working with women and I'm talking about, let's clarify what you want, let's talk about how we allow inspired ideas to come to you. A lot of times women will say, well, I don't feel confident. And that's coming up a lot recently too. And people are reaching out to me and how do I feel more confident so that we can allow inspired ideas to flow in and I can actually take action on them. And I struggled with that for a long time. It wasn't that I wasn't confident. It was that I thought I'd fall flat on my face if I took action. So there was that lack of confidence. It was a perfectionism. So we've got clarify and then allow and then broadcast, and being able to use our throat chakra to kind of clear that out and use that to be able to broadcast to the world what we would love, the world and the universe, what we would love, and then manifest. So when we're talking about in terms of law of attraction, if I think a thought and I say it out loud to my coach or I say it out loud to a friend, I'm going to attract it. But what I want you to be aware of is what frequency you have in your body and for how long, because we can have a frequency in our body that is like this despair emotion and force ourselves to think positive thoughts, and it doesn't seem to work out, right? We're just attracting more of the same crap, but we're not thinking those thoughts. And so it's kind of confusing. And I'm seeing that happen a lot in the law of attraction, social media groups where people are saying, but I wasn't thinking, I was thinking positive and feeling positive and believing in a positive way. And I hate those terms, are two totally different things. So let me use the example of bankrupt to 100K in 6 hours. Now, I'm gonna stop and say, I know this is a very specific situation to me, and I'm not saying you're gonna go from thinking you're gonna be bankrupt in the morning to 100K in the afternoon, but I want you to understand, I mean, it's totally possible, by the way. We'll just say that. If you don't know me personally or have not been around with me for the last year, over a year ago in March in 2019, my 2-year-old daughter and I were in a car accident with the car in front of us. The guy fell asleep at the wheel, went over the line, hit a car head on, rolled that car, well, actually flipped it up in the air, and it landed on our car. My daughter was ejected from her car seat. It broke her femur. She and I were pretty injured. We are fine now. Things have turned out really well. So what did not turn out well, I guess you could say, is that we had a lot of medical debt, and the lawsuit took forever to go through. And then because of COVID, it slowed it down even further. We were told that even when we got a payout, that it would not cover all of the medical debt. So it's just something I had to process through. And a lot of people are experiencing financial hardships right now. But because we knew that it was not coming anytime soon, or we thought that it wasn't, and we thought it would be a very small amount of money, and it would, like a very small amount of money, and would definitely not recover or be able to pay off all of our debt that we had acquired during that time. I had to sit down the other day and say, well, how do I want to take my business forward? And how do I want to continue to grow and expand? And am I holding on and grinding to the things that I've maintained for so long that I'm not allowing new things to come into my life? So one of the options that landed on the table was, well, maybe we file bankruptcy. Most of the time, people would say that that feels like despair, that feels like shame and embarrassment. But when I checked in with my body and got out of my head about how society thinks it should be, my body said, oh, this might actually be good. This feels weightless. This feels free. This feels like a new opportunity. So a lot of different emotions and frequencies in my body than what was up in my head. So I just made a couple of phone calls to my attorney, and when he found out that I was thinking about bankruptcy, it took about 6 hours, and they called me back and said, Angie, we've got, such and such insurance company on the phone. They have said this, within a week, we're going to have your payout. And by the way, it's 3 times more than what we thought it was going to be. So I was thinking and speaking out loud to people that bankruptcy was potentially an option that typically evokes a feeling of despair or frequency, a lower frequency, but it didn't. And I had to get very clear that in my body, it was saying it would be fine. And it works in reverse, like the example I gave you earlier. So I just want you to be very aware of the difference between the thoughts that you're thinking. You could think beautiful, positive thoughts, but it doesn't evoke the emotion within your body that you truly believe that, or the frequency that you want. And the frequencies are what attract things in the same frequency, like vibrations together, whatever they may be, cooperative components, other people who are in the same frequency as you are. Lots of different things. So I wanted to put that out here on this blog. And of course, I'm always going to say, if you need support with that, I need support with that, I have a coach and mentor, come to me, get on my calendar, go to angieprince.com, book an online session. The beautiful thing about working with someone else on this is that you can quickly speak it out loud, work it through, and find out, I actually don't feel as scared as I thought I did. I actually don't feel as I'm very confident, and I didn't realize that I felt very confident. That was a story in my head. So that's why I'm here. Get on my calendar. Let's work through that. And until next time, when I'll bring you another tidbit of information, be on the lookout on my website for mini courses as well. I've said that a couple of times. I'm going to put some stuff together. People keep coming back looking for that. I promise, I'm going to put that together. And until then, have a beautiful weekend. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.